mga be, for today's topic, we were talking about blocking.
Yes, blocking. Not in Messenger, in Facebook, IG, TikTok, or in any social media apps, but in volleyball.
Blockings are action that makes the volleyball game exciting. But the offensive and defensive team should learn not only techniques of the block but also know the corresponding rules that go with it.
Recent rule modification have changed the block from a passive defensive maneuver to an offensive fundamental capable of winning an instant point. Before 1964, when international rules were used in competitive play in United States, the blocking rules prohibited passing the hand across the net and during the block.
That's correct, Kyla. The rule forced the blocker to remain away from the net and block with the hands in a vertical or slightly backward plane. The blocking surface resembled a board above the net to force the spiker to hit over, around, or through. In most cases, the blockers would block with their arms straight up. They were trained not to block too high to avoid touching balls that would travel out of bounds.
Another information in 1968, the United States of Volleyball Association changed the blocking rules to conform to those who specified by the international rule-making body. The major changes restricted blocking across the net.
It may be executed by 1, 2, or 3 players and is the first line of defense against the spike. Blockers are not expected to block all spikes but to serve as a screen reducing the floor space that must be covered by the players behind them. To block a player has to have a good anticipation of the play and be tall. Another information, the tallest player is usually the team's main blocker.
Yes, Mayumi. And also, there are 5 mechanics of blocking that we need to know. The body positioning, playing position, blocking action, lateral coverage and faults, and the cause and correction.
Blocking is the action of players close to the net to intercept the ball coming from the opponent's side by reaching higher than the top of the net. An attempt to block the ball is done when the player acts to block without touching the ball. A complete block is when the ball is touched by the blocker during the game. Only front row players are permitted to complete the block. When 2 or 3 players do the blocking action is called collective block. It is also forbidden to block an opponent's service.
In body positioning for the over-the-net block, the suggested basic position is to stand close to the net. Beginners generally make the mistake of jumping forward into the net. Next is playing position. Keep your eye on the ball. The stress in blocking must be on watching the spiker. If the blocker can learn to study the spiker, his defense blocking will improve.
Next is blocking action. As the blocker concentrates on the spiker, he prepares for the block by flexing his legs to approximately 90-degree angle and bringing the extended arms down slightly, but from the side for the added thrust as he jumps. Next is the lateral coverage. The center of blocker is the key man in any blocking defense. He must learn to move quickly to the right or left and pair up with the outside blocker to form a 2-man block. The center blocker concentrates on the setter until he is certain the direction of the set.
Fault causes and correction. The fault in making a successful blocking action have different causes and also can be corrected if these are pointed or out properly. Correction. Flip the hands over and back rapidly. Practice this technique without a ball until you become proficient. Fault. Constantly hitting the net during the blocking of the ball. Cause nothing pulling the hand, but after block action. Cause you fail converting forward momentum into an upward force or starting too far from the net. Correction. Start with just do not jump straight up. Do not take any forward steps. Fault. Jumping into the net or across the center line during the block.
C. Fault. Always missing the ball while blocking. Cause. Not watching the spiker at the moment of contact or closing the eyes while making the block action. Correction. The player does not watch the ball. Concentrate on the spiker's arm and hand. Keep your eyes open and shift your hands to the right or left as you hit the ball to compensate for the spiker's angle. D. Fault. When the blocking the ball into the net. Cause you are not reaching over the net to contact the ball or poor timing. Correction. Work for a maximum jump which should enable the player to get across the net. If the player can block the spiker side of the net, the ball will not across the net. E. Fault. Blocking the ball out of bounds cause hands are facing out of bounds during the block instead of flipping them downward for inbound trajectory. Correction. The player should turn the hands slightly inward. The angle of the deflection will cause the ball to land in the opponent court if the skill is properly practiced and mastered.
BB ball. B. Volleyball.
BB Ball B. Volleyball. I am Restica Bornida.
B. Volleyball. I am Mark De Guzman.
BB Ball. B. Volleyball. I am Yumi Riero Pahil.
B. Volleyball. I am Aina May Makatangay.
BB Ball B. Volleyball. I am Kyla Hernandez.
BB Ball B. Volleyball. I am Brian Louis Aljata.